Salutations, friends. It is Eveline. I am back in Washington. I actually remembered to bring my tripod so I could have a proper camera set up. And I brought my camera and I brought my microphones for better audio. Can you hear me okay down there? Can you hear me? Are you proud? I'm proud of myself. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what I usually do here. A little bit more constructive, hands-on, a little bit bigger of a project. You see, over the last couple of months, I have been getting a little bit more ambitious with the things that I'm doing and building and making. I've obviously, if you don't know, I've been working on a camper for the last 3 months, 3.5, 4, almost 4 months of my life. And it requires a lot of like bigger hands-on like construction type projects, as well as like, you know, it's just different than what I'm used to. But I've gotten a lot more confident in my ability to tackle those kind of things and to do that kind of like handiwork, if you want to call it that. And it's a lot easier than I thought it was. And I just feel like I wanted to be able to share that with all you guys so that if you also are feeling a little bit intimidating by those bigger projects that you need to get done or whatever, then just, I was also intimidated. And I want to be able to share all that with you guys. I want to share all my camper renos, all the things I've been building, all that kind of stuff. But because it's so different than like the smaller, like the like thrift flips and the paintings and like, you know, the little stuff that I've been doing, I wanted to sort of ease into that. And I thought I'd do it with something that is now to me a smaller project, but is a little bit bigger of a project than anything else that I've done on this channel. So obviously you guys already know that we're going to be reupholstering and upcycling an old chair, and that means sewing. Everybody's familiar with sewing on this channel. We know sewing, we love sewing, and it's the same thing. As sewing a garment is the same as sewing a cover for a cushion. It's just a different shape depending on if you have an ass or not. For me, it's not very much of a different shape. So this is what I started with. This cute little rocking chair. My grandma actually gave me this chair. I can't remember if she said she's always had it or if it was something she got and then she was like, oh, you can have it. Like, I don't know. Because that's what my family does. We just give each other furniture. And it's actually in like really good, decent condition. It's just, I wasn't really feeling the gold seat. I love gold accents, but just like a whole ass gold seat wasn't really doing it for me. So I decided to take this orange and black fabric that I actually showed you guys in my last thrift haul. I have just a piece of it here. It's got this really pretty sort of gold accent to it, but it's orange and black. It's got a bunch of different textures and it's a nice sturdy fabric. And when I found it, I wasn't sure if I'd have enough to do the chair, but it turns out that I had more than enough, and this is all that's left of it. But I thought it'd be the perfect sort of the way to add a little bit of oomph to the chair. So make it a little bit more my speed, my style, you know? So I started by taking the cushion off of the chair. It was pretty easy. It's not actually attached to the chair. It just sits on a little ledge inside of the chair, so it's very easy to remove. So I just popped that off, flipped it upside down, and I started by taking all of the little metal brads that they had used to hammer down the fabric to keep it in place. I realized once I pulled that gold fabric off that this chair had actually been reupholstered in the past with that gold fabric, and I uncovered this lovely little velvety design on this fabric. It was very worn out, very old. It was very pretty though, and so I decided to just leave the extra padding that the last person had used to sort of re-pad out the seat, and just cover it up, just like they had done with the gold fabric. So I went ahead and I took that gold fabric and I traced out a pattern onto some craft paper. You don't have to use craft paper, you can use any kind of paper that you have access to. Wrapping paper is really good for pattern making because it's thin, it's cheap, it's easy to work with, and you can get long sheets of it. But you can use newspaper, butcher paper, even just regular printer paper that you tape together. It's anything that you have access to. It's pattern making, especially copying patterns, is a fairly easy process. You just trace out the object that you want to make a pattern for, and boom, there you go. There you have a pattern. Add your seam allowance to it. I then carefully lined up and cut out the pieces of the actual fabric, making sure that the stripes and the design were going to line up where I wanted them to line up. If you have a more solid design of a fabric, you don't really have to be that careful. You can just cut out the fabric and then be fine. But because mine had very specific stripes and a very specific pattern and different widths of stripes, I wanted to make sure that there was a centered design and that it would look even on both sides. So I did that, cut out the edges, and then I went ahead and I cut out all of the extra orange stripes so that I could make piping to go along the edge to match that the way that they had done the last upcycle, and even the original, it has the piping in the seam. So I just made the piping using twine. You can get actual piping rope, but it's kind of expensive and it's easier to just use what you have. So I just tripled up the twine, twisted it into a little rope, and then secured it into the orange fabric with pins before just basting that fabric closed. It's gonna get sandwiched in between the seams on the cushion anyway, so you don't really need it super secure with the when you're just having the piping, because it's gonna get re-secured once it's in the seam. You could also do this with the zipper foot on your machine, which would make it a lot faster and a lot easier. And I would have done that, except for I'm an idiot and I thought I knew what a zipper foot looked like, and I thought my mom's machine didn't come with a zipper foot. Turns out it did, and my life has been a lot easier since then, but at the time I didn't know, so I hand sewed everything. So I pinned all the fabric together for the cushion, making sure to very carefully put in that piping the right way along the seams. You just want to make sure that the piping's going to be showing on the outside and not on the inside, because then you're going to have these weird bits of fabric sticking out all over the place. I then flipped everything right side out and I put it onto the cushion to make sure I liked everything, stuck the cushion back in the chair to make sure everything looked nice. I loved it. So I took it out, flipped it upside down, and I went through and I used a hammer and small brads just to tighten down and keep down the fabric. I could have used a staple gun or other means of holding it down. A staple gun, honestly, is usually the fastest and the easiest, but at the time I didn't have access to one, and I wanted to pay homage to the original design that used those little brad nails. So I went through, hammered all the fabric down, make sure it was nice and secure, nice and tight, everything looked right when you flipped it over, cut the extra fabric off, and slipped it back into the chair. And you could call it done there, but I had a little bit of extra fabric left over, so I went ahead and whipped up this little throw pillow to sit on the chair. I thought it was very cute. So, and that's pretty much it. You can do this with any kind of furniture. Some of it's going to be easier, some of it's going to be a little bit more complicated, but it's all the same thing. You can do pretty much anything. So if you have a little chair or something, or a stool or whatever that needs a little bit more oomph added to it, then I say go for it. I did this in less than a day and it was super easy, super quick, and I gave a whole new life to my little ugly golden chair. So anyone can do this sort of thing, and it took me a while to learn that, but trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm really excited to show you what other bigger projects that I've been working on and doing over the last few months, so if you want to, like, stick around and see that, then feel free to subscribe. I would love to have you. And if you liked seeing this video, make sure to like this video. Next week, I'm gonna have a painting video for all you guys. And then after that, I should be back in my trailer and I'll be able to show you all of my new stuff and adventures and projects. But yeah, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.